So my wife showed me this meme of Theo Vaughn, the stand-up comedian and podcaster, and he was like, "I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'll work hard at it though. People say you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Yeah, but I'll be there every fucking day." And if you heard Theo Vaughn, you'll know that was a terrible impression. But I just thought it was really cool for a guy to be that successful and still be that vulnerable and say something like that to an experience I think we can all relate to, and that is starting anything new that we want to do is scary and it's uncomfortable. Whether that's a new job or going back to school, starting that creative passion or dream that you have, or maybe having a new kid. I don't know, any of those things. It's scary. And oftentimes that fear can hold us back from even getting started. Bonnie Ware, she's this nurse who worked in hospice care, and hospice means, patients that are quite literally dying. And she wrote this book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. The number one: I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Following external expectations of what their parents or their friends or society and culture told them to do, rather than following their own inner compass, thinking that, I'll get to it one day. And then that day never comes. Now, I'm not trying to, pressure you or panic you into doing, that thing that you've had in your head, but at least if there is something that you want to do, don't let the fear be the one thing that's holding you back, is what I'm trying to say. So with that, let's dive deeper into how it is that we can get started into whatever we want to do, despite the fear, despite the obstacles, and keep moving forward. So for this video, I'm going to use this analogy of a cave. Like whatever we want to do is going into this dark, scary looking cave. So right now, if there's something that you want to do, think of it right now. Think of whatever it is that you've been putting off, big or small, and that's going to be our cave that we're going to go into. All right. So if you have it, if you don't, it doesn't matter. Oftentimes we're just so scared to go in the damn thing because it looks scary in there. And it's because we don't know the outcome. We don't know what it's like in there. It's unpredictable. And this is nature's way, our brain's way of keeping us safe. Most of us are not risk takers, and that's not your fault. That's just biology. The brain is trying to keep you alive at all costs, and if there's anything unknown where it can't predict what it's going to be like, it says, I ain't trying to do that shit. Regardless if it's something that's not going to actually kill you, like starting a new project or whatever the case may be, but your brain doesn't know that. So, despite this fear that automatically comes up, now that we know it's more of a biological thing, can we go in anyways? If you need help, maybe think of your favorite character or real person from a, TV show or movie, whatever, knowing that they did that thing that they were afraid of. Not because they didn't have fear, but because they did it despite the fear, and that's real courage. Another thing is I don't like when I say I'm scared, because I'm scared implies that I am the fear. I'm feeling fear. That's a better way to look at it. Whenever you're starting something new or anything, you're feeling fear. And because that means there's you, and then there's the fear that you're currently experiencing. And that creates a little bit of separation. So with that, let's say we get started. We go into this cave. Shit, we're in it now. We're self-conscious without a flashlight. And as Theo Vaughn says, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And that's the other thing, is that we often feel like we have to have a game plan before getting started. That, we'll look stupid or be embarrassed if we do get started without knowing what we're doing. And that's because our culture idolizes looking cool and composed and confident, especially on social media. But that is not how growth happens. Getting started and doing something new is messy, and it takes someone to be vulnerable. So without knowing what we're doing, we keep going forward. We start anyway, and then this can feel discomforting. This can feel like almost like pain when we do this new thing, and it just feels like, oh, I don't like this. That's actually another thing that's completely normal that they don't tell you about your brain, is that growth often feels like suffering. And your brain may say, it feels like, say, stop, don't do this anymore. Or it might say, I'm bad at this. But a better way to look at it is, I'm just new at this. So not only having courage is important, but having the humility to be vulnerable and to let others see you not be good, and to let yourself see yourself struggle with something. And that's another thing, is that we often tie our self-worth not only to our abilities of how we think of ourselves, but to what others think of us. That's another biological thing, tribe life and the viewpoints of others dictates how we feel about ourselves, because we don't want to be ostracized by the group. But in modern times, come on, it's not life or death anymore. So let's reframe this. Would you dislike your family member or a friend for them trying something new and stumbling along the way? Probably not. You'd probably be proud that they're trying to begin with. So let's keep that in mind as well. And as we continue to struggle and fumble along the way, we're more than likely going to come to setbacks, to things that make us really doubt why we started in the first place. We got past the initial fear, the initial discomfort, and we continue to keep moving through this cave, and then there's things that happen that make us fall flat on our ass. And that's also normal. It doesn't feel very good, but it's normal. Those thoughts, those doubts that come up, that I knew this was a bad idea. That happens. So we go into this cave, we do this new thing, and all we've talked about so far is being scared, how growth is uncomfortable, and how we're embarrassed, and our self-worth seems to be based on how we do to ourselves and for others. So why the hell are we doing any of this to begin with? Because if you keep going, if you stay consistent, you eventually come through the other side. Progress is not about having a perfect day, but a bunch of imperfect ones. Having the courage to go into the unknown, and the humility to deal with the embarrassments and the setbacks and the obstacles. And if you keep going, you eventually start to get the hang of it a little bit. You almost see like light shining through on the other side of the cave. And it doesn't mean that it's because you're good at it now, but it's because you kept moving despite it. And that's what Theo Von said, is I keep showing up every fucking day. And so now, if you keep going every single day, you might have a little bit more confidence. It's kind of like a callus, and that callus is only there from the pain and the discomfort. And to give you a couple of examples of people, larger than life people that have done this, Oprah Winfrey, fired from her first TV job and told she was unfit for television. Walt Disney, fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. And J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 major publishers and was living on government assistance when she wrote Harry Potter. It's not about being great. It's not about being good. It's about having courage to get started, to be okay with other people not seeing you do well, and to be okay with yourself and not doing well, and just to keep showing up. And if you keep showing up, keep moving forward, you may be surprised at what you can do. And eventually, maybe one day, you'll be an inspiration for the next person to go into their cave. Not necessarily because you're the best, or because you're a Walt Disney or J.K. Rowling, but because you had the courage to try. And to me, that is true success. So let me know if this idea resonates with you at all. If you're comfortable sharing whatever your cave is, let me know. For me, it is doing this. I've just done 7 takes of this, and it's scary. I'm not very good at it, but I'll keep showing up. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.